There is a quiet moment that arrives in every life when the truth does not knock loudly, it simply waits to be noticed. Today is one of those moments. You did not find these words by accident, and before your heart tries to understand everything at once, allow it to become still. There is a hidden chapter unfolding around you that has remained unseen, not because you were weak, but because your attention has been focused on becoming the person I have been shaping you to be. While you were growing in wisdom, someone close to you quietly began writing a story about you that never reflected who you truly are. Yet even now, the ending of that story has not been decided. Don't skip, because something important is waiting for you, and each passing moment will reveal another piece with gentle clarity. Listen carefully. The deepest betrayals rarely begin with loud arguments or obvious signs. They often begin with small choices, unnoticed conversations, and silent assumptions that slowly drift away from honesty. Someone close to you allowed confusion to replace understanding. Instead of asking who you truly are, they accepted a version of you created by fear, pride, or misunderstanding. In doing so, they behaved as though your place, your voice, and your value no longer mattered. It may have felt as though they erased your presence while trying to claim what they believed belonged to them. But what is meant for you has never depended on another person's opinion. What belongs to you carries your name in ways no one else can permanently claim. Perhaps you have sensed this without being able to explain it. Certain conversations suddenly became different. Familiar smiles no longer carried the same warmth. Doors that once opened easily seemed strangely hesitant. You questioned yourself more than you questioned the situation because your heart naturally searched for peace instead of conflict. That gentle spirit is not your weakness, it is one of your greatest strengths. Yet today I want you to understand something that many never discover until much later: discernment is just as important as kindness. You can love people deeply while still recognizing when their choices no longer reflect the truth. Stay till the end, because another layer is about to unfold. What appeared to be loss may actually become the moment that protects your future. Sometimes hidden intentions reveal themselves only after enough time has passed for wisdom to recognize them. If everything had remained comfortable, you might never have noticed the quiet distance forming around you. You might have continued giving trust where honesty was slowly disappearing. Instead, little by little, the light has begun exposing what darkness could never keep forever. Not to embarrass anyone. Not to create resentment. But to guide your steps towards something healthier, stronger, and far more peaceful. Now hear this with confidence. Your identity has never been defined by another person's actions. No whispered conversation can erase your purpose. No misunderstanding can cancel the plans prepared for your life. While others focused on possession, recognition, or appearances, I continued working within your character. The treasures I place inside a faithful heart cannot be taken away through deception because they were never built upon human approval. They grow through patience, integrity, and quiet endurance. That is why your journey has felt slower than you expected. I was building foundations that would remain steady long after temporary victories disappeared. There is still one truth I have not revealed, and it changes everything. The person you have been thinking about is not the only one watching this story unfold. Another set of eyes has quietly noticed what others overlooked. Another heart has recognized your consistency when no applause followed your efforts. The next step will not arrive through force or confrontation. It will arrive through unexpected clarity. When that moment comes, many things that once felt confusing will suddenly make perfect sense. Until then, remain steady, remain kind, and keep listening, because what comes next will reveal why this season had to unfold exactly the way it did. Just when it seemed as though the silence had already spoken its final word, another hidden thread began weaving itself into the story. What you could not hear was every bit as important as what had already been revealed. There are moments when people believe they have successfully rewritten someone else's place, yet they forget that truth has a remarkable way of returning without making noise. It does not rush. It does not compete. It simply arrives at the right moment. Stay till the end, because another piece is about to settle into place, and it may explain feelings you have carried for much longer than you realized. There was a season when you questioned yourself more than you questioned the situation around you. You replayed conversations, searched for answers inside ordinary moments, and wondered whether you had somehow misunderstood everything. That uncertainty became heavy, not because you lacked wisdom, but because your heart naturally searched for harmony. While you were hoping relationships would become stronger, someone else quietly became more focused on protecting their own image than protecting the trust between you. They convinced themselves that if your voice became smaller, theirs would somehow become stronger. Yet genuine strength has never required another person's silence. Notice something remarkable. Even during those confusing days, certain opportunities refused to leave your path. Certain doors remained patiently waiting. Certain people continued treating you with unexpected respect. At the time, you may have dismissed those moments as coincidence, but they were gentle reminders that your value had never disappeared. The opinions of a few could never erase what had already been planted within you. Your kindness still reached people. Your honesty still carried quiet influence. Your presence still brought peace in places where no one even thanked you for it. Don't skip. Because this next realization changes the direction of everything. Sometimes people become so determined to hold on to something that was never truly theirs that they overlook the one thing they cannot control, the passage of time. Time quietly reveals motives. Time uncovers hidden intentions. Time allows actions to speak more clearly than explanations ever could. And while they were occupied trying to shape appearances, your character continued becoming stronger in ways that could not be imitated. There is another detail you have not considered. Someone who remained completely unnoticed has been observing this entire journey without taking sides. They watched your patience when frustration would have been easier. They noticed your restraint when proving yourself would have been tempting. They remembered your consistency while others focused only on temporary impressions. You have never met every person who is quietly rooting for your future. Some have already begun speaking well of you in places you have never entered. They are opening conversations you never knew existed. That is why I ask you not to rush toward disappointment. What feels delayed is often being carefully positioned. The chapter ahead does not begin with revenge or with anyone being humiliated. It begins with clarity. It begins with peaceful confidence. It begins with the moment you finally stop measuring your worth by how one person chose to treat you. That freedom changes everything because it allows you to walk forward without carrying yesterday's weight into tomorrow's opportunities. Something important is waiting for you. The story is no longer moving in the direction you assumed. The hidden pieces are beginning to shift, and before long, one quiet conversation will uncover a truth that no one expected to surface. When that moment arrives, you will understand why every unanswered question had to remain unanswered for just a little longer, because the next revelation cannot be understood until this one settles completely into your heart. A single quiet moment can change everything without anyone recognizing it at first. That moment has already begun. While others continue believing the story has reached its conclusion, an entirely different chapter is slowly opening behind the scenes. It is not unfolding with loud announcements or dramatic scenes. It is unfolding through truth finding its way back into the light, one small detail at a time. Don't skip. Because what comes next may explain why certain pieces never seem to fit together. There is something remarkable about honesty. It never loses its value, even when it appears unnoticed. For a while, it may seem as though confusion has the louder voice. It may seem as though assumptions have become accepted as facts. Yet truth has a quiet patience that cannot be defeated. It waits until the right moment, then reveals itself so naturally that people begin questioning everything they once believed. That is the season now beginning around you. Think back to the moments when your heart urged you to step away, even though your mind kept searching for reasons to stay. You sensed a distance that words could not explain. You noticed small changes that others dismissed. You felt as though something precious was slowly slipping beyond your reach, yet every attempt to understand only brought more silence. What you were feeling was not weakness. It was wisdom trying to guide you before your eyes could fully recognize what your spirit had already begun to understand. Stay till the end, because another hidden truth is about to emerge. The person who underestimated your quiet strength believed that time would erase your importance. They assumed that if enough days passed, your absence would become ordinary. But they never realized something unexpected. Your influence did not disappear when you stepped back. Instead, people slowly began noticing what had been missing all along. The calm you carried. The consistency you offered. The kindness you shared without asking for recognition. Those qualities cannot be replaced simply by filling an empty space. Now another layer begins to unfold. Somewhere, a conversation is approaching that will sound ordinary on the surface, yet it will carry extraordinary meaning. A simple question will be asked. A forgotten detail will suddenly be remembered. Someone will pause before speaking because a truth they once ignored will become impossible to overlook. They will realize that what they accepted without questioning never reflected the complete picture. They will begin seeing your journey through completely different eyes. Do not allow impatience to convince you that nothing is changing. Some of the greatest turning points arrive so quietly that they are almost invisible in the beginning. Seeds grow beneath the surface long before anyone sees the first sign of life. In the same way, restoration often begins long before circumstances reveal it. Every lesson you learned, every moment you chose peace over pride, every time you remained faithful to your character, they have all been preparing you for what comes next. Something important is waiting for you, and it is far greater than simply being understood by others. It is the discovery that your future was never dependent on someone else's opinion. Your path has always been moving toward a place where truth and peace walk together. The chapter ahead will not be built on proving anyone wrong. It will be built on showing you how every unexpected delay, every unanswered question, and every silent season was quietly guiding you toward a purpose that no misunderstanding could ever take away. And just beyond this moment, another unexpected voice is about to enter the story, a voice that has remained silent until now, but whose words will begin changing everything from the inside out. Without warning, the silence begins to sound different. Not because someone suddenly confessed everything, but because the pieces that once seemed unrelated are slowly finding each other. This is how many life-changing moments begin, not with a dramatic entrance, but with quiet recognition. The answers you searched for were never completely out of reach. They were simply waiting for the right time to become unmistakably clear. Stay till the end, because another remarkable piece of this journey is about to unfold. There is someone who has recently started looking back at past moments with completely different eyes. Conversations they once dismissed now carry unexpected meaning. Small decisions they barely noticed now seem impossible to ignore. They are beginning to realize that what they believed was never supported by the complete truth. No one forced this realization upon them. It arrived naturally, carried by time, reflection, and the undeniable consistency of your character. Truth has a way of returning to the people who are willing to look beyond first impressions. Meanwhile, you have been changing in ways even you may not fully recognize. You have become less dependent on being understood and more focused on becoming the person you were always meant to be. That quiet transformation has created a strength that cannot be measured by applause or approval. It shows itself in your patience, your peaceful spirit, and your ability to continue walking forward even when every answer has not yet appeared. What once felt like waiting has actually been preparation. Don't skip, because something important is waiting for you. There is a hidden contrast unfolding between you and the person who tried to move ahead without honoring the truth. While they invested energy into maintaining appearances, you invested your energy into building character. Appearances may impress people for a season, but character continues speaking long after appearances begin to fade. That difference is becoming more visible every single day, even if no one has said it aloud yet. Now imagine a single conversation taking place somewhere you cannot see. Your name is mentioned, not with confusion this time, but with curiosity. Someone asks a simple question. Another person hesitates before answering. Suddenly, the certainty they once carried begins to weaken because they realize there are important details they never understood. The story they accepted so easily no longer feels complete. One honest question becomes another, and before long, assumptions begin giving way to understanding. No argument caused this. No confrontation forced it. It happened because truth quietly made its way into the room. That is why I remind you not to measure your progress by what is immediately visible. Some victories arrive without applause. Some breakthroughs begin long before anyone recognizes them. Every peaceful choice you have made has been shaping an outcome greater than you imagined. You were never falling behind. You were being positioned where your integrity would eventually speak louder than any misunderstanding ever could. And here is the quiet promise I want you to carry into the next part of this journey. What has been hidden is not remaining hidden forever. There is still one final layer that has not yet been uncovered, a realization so gentle yet so powerful that it will cause several people to rethink everything they believed from the beginning. When that moment arrives, you will not need to defend your story. The truth will have already begun speaking for itself, and its voice will be clearer than anyone expected. Just when it seems as though every hidden detail has already surfaced, another quiet revelation begins to rise. It does not arrive with noise or urgency. It comes like the first light before sunrise, soft enough to be missed by those who are distracted, yet impossible to stop once it begins to spread. This is where everything slowly changes. Not because the past disappears, but because your understanding of it becomes completely different. Don't skip, because something important is waiting for you, and this part has been quietly preparing your heart for it all along. There is a reason you were never meant to chase every explanation. If every answer had arrived immediately, you might have acted from emotion instead of wisdom. Instead, time created space for your heart to become stronger. While you wondered why certain people became distant, you were also learning how to recognize those who remain faithful without demanding attention. The difference between genuine loyalty and temporary closeness has become clearer than ever before. That lesson alone is a gift that cannot be taken away. Now another unseen moment is unfolding. Someone who once accepted only one side of the story has begun noticing small inconsistencies. At first, they ignored them. Then they questioned them. Now they can no longer overlook them. They are not searching for conflict, they are searching for honesty. Every quiet observation is leading them toward a realization they never expected to make. Piece by piece, they are discovering that the person they underestimated carried far more integrity than anyone realized. Stay till the end, because this next realization has the power to change the entire direction of the story. The greatest treasure you were protecting was never something another person could truly possess. It was your character. It was your peace. It was the quiet confidence that continued growing even during seasons when no one applauded your faithfulness. Others may have focused on temporary gain, but you were being prepared for something lasting. What is built on truth grows stronger with time, while what is built on misunderstanding eventually begins to weaken under its own weight. There will soon come a moment when you no longer feel the need to revisit every painful memory. Not because those moments never happened, but because they no longer control the direction of your future. You will notice something surprising within yourself. The questions that once kept you awake will begin losing their power. The need to prove yourself will quietly disappear. In its place will come a deep sense of peace that cannot be explained by circumstances alone. That peace is one of the clearest signs that you are stepping into a new chapter. And while this quiet transformation is taking place within you, another unexpected shift is happening around you. Doors that once remained closed are beginning to open in ways you never planned. New conversations are approaching. New connections are forming. People who value honesty, kindness, and consistency are slowly entering your path. They are not replacing your past, they are helping reveal the future that was patiently waiting beyond it. Every step forward will remind you that losing the wrong connections often creates room for the right ones. Something important is waiting for you beyond this moment. There is still one final truth that has not yet been spoken aloud. A truth that explains why everything unfolded exactly as it did. When that final piece is revealed, you will understand that what first appeared to be a painful ending was quietly becoming the beginning of a far greater story, one that no misunderstanding, no false assumption, and no forgotten conversation could ever prevent from unfolding. The final piece does not arrive with applause. It arrives with peace. That is how you know it is real. When the heart no longer races to defend itself, when the mind no longer searches endlessly for missing answers, and when your spirit finally becomes lighter than the weight it has carried for so long, you begin to understand that the journey was never only about discovering what others had done. It was about discovering who you had become through every unexpected turn. Stay till the end, because this closing chapter holds the quiet truth that changes everything. Look back for just a moment. Not with regret, but with fresh eyes. There was a time when you believed that losing someone's trust meant losing a part of your future. There was a season when silence felt like rejection and distance felt like defeat. Yet today you can see something that was impossible to recognize before. Every closed door gently redirected your steps. Every unanswered question protected you from depending on explanations that were never meant to define your life. Even the moments that seemed confusing became stepping stones toward a stronger, wiser version of yourself. The person who tried to move forward without fully valuing your place has also been traveling their own path of reflection. Life has a gentle way of inviting people to reconsider what they once overlooked. Sometimes it happens through quiet conversations. Sometimes through unexpected memories. Sometimes simply because time reveals what hurried decisions could not. Whether or not every misunderstanding is ever spoken aloud is no longer the center of this story. The greatest change has already happened. You are no longer waiting for someone else to tell you who you are. Don't skip, because this realization is the heart of everything you have heard. Nothing truly meant for your life was ever lost. Opportunities that carry purpose have a remarkable way of finding you again, often through completely different paths than you expected. Relationships built on sincerity become stronger with honesty. New beginnings appear where old disappointments once stood. The future does not ask you to carry yesterday's burden. It simply asks you to keep walking with courage, kindness, and quiet confidence. Now notice what has changed within your own heart. You have become slower to judge and quicker to understand. You have learned that loyalty is shown through actions more than promises. You have discovered that peace is worth protecting, even when it requires letting go of people, expectations, or stories that no longer belong in your life. These are not small lessons. They are lasting treasures that will guide every chapter ahead. Something important has been waiting for you from the very beginning, and now it stands clearly before you. The greatest inheritance no one could ever take was your ability to remain true to yourself. While circumstances shifted and opinions changed, your integrity quietly continued growing. That is why your future feels brighter today than it did when this journey began. It is no longer built on what someone else believed about you. It is built on the unshakable foundation of truth, patience, and hope. So walk forward with a peaceful heart. Leave behind the need to rewrite the past, because the future is already writing a far better story. Every step you take from this moment carries new possibilities, new connections, and new reasons to believe that what seemed like an ending was, in reality, the gentle beginning of something far more beautiful than you could have imagined. And that quiet beginning has already started. There is one final image to hold in your heart before this journey comes to its gentle close. Imagine standing at the edge of a long path you have already walked. Behind you are questions that once felt impossible to answer. Ahead of you is a horizon that no longer asks you to carry those questions. This is where every meaningful story quietly changes, not because the past is erased, but because it no longer decides what comes next. Stay till the end, because the most valuable discovery has been waiting here all along. In every meaningful journey, there comes a moment when the hidden lesson becomes more important than the hidden event. The people who misunderstood you are no longer the center of the story. The difficult season is no longer the center of the story. The greatest transformation has happened within you. You have learned to value honesty over appearances, patience over hurried conclusions, and peace over endless explanations. Those gifts will remain with you long after every unanswered question has faded into memory. Perhaps there will be conversations in the future that bring new understanding. Perhaps some people will look back with clearer eyes and recognize things they once overlooked. If that day comes, welcome it with kindness rather than bitterness. Understanding has the greatest power when it is received with humility. But if some questions are never fully answered, let that be all right as well. Not every chapter needs to be explained before the next beautiful chapter can begin. Don't skip, because this final thought may stay with you longer than any other. The strongest people are not those who never experience disappointment. They are the ones who continue choosing compassion without surrendering their wisdom. They continue believing that goodness matters, even when life becomes complicated. They continue walking forward with quiet confidence because they know that character is built one faithful step at a time. As this story comes to its final pages, remember that every ending quietly becomes the beginning of another journey. Somewhere beyond today's chapter are new friendships, unexpected opportunities, peaceful mornings, joyful conversations, and moments that will remind you how much beauty can grow after seasons of uncertainty. Keep your heart open to those moments. They often arrive softly, almost unnoticed, before becoming the memories you treasure most. And so this story leaves you with one simple truth. Light never needs to compete with darkness to be seen. It only needs the opportunity to shine. In the same way, kindness, integrity, patience, and hope quietly reveal their strength over time. Carry those qualities with you wherever you go, and let them shape every step ahead. The path before you is not defined by yesterday's misunderstandings but by tomorrow's possibilities, and those possibilities are only just beginning. As the story reaches its quiet epilogue, another gentle realization appears. Not to reopen old wounds, but to reveal how every chapter has been leading here from the very beginning. The greatest turning points rarely announce themselves. They simply arrive, inviting you to see familiar moments through entirely new eyes. Don't skip, because one last truth is waiting for you, and it may become the part you remember long after this story ends. Imagine looking back at every unexpected twist, every unanswered question, and every silent season. At one time they felt disconnected, like scattered pages from different books. But now they begin forming a single picture. The delays taught patience. The uncertainty strengthened wisdom. The disappointments revealed which relationships carried genuine care and which were only passing through your life. None of those moments were wasted. Every one of them quietly prepared you for the peace you now carry. There is something remarkable about people who choose hope after confusion. They become a source of calm wherever they go. They stop chasing approval because they have discovered something far more valuable, self-respect rooted in honesty. They no longer fear being misunderstood for a season because they know truth has its own quiet rhythm. It never hurries, yet it never fails to arrive exactly when it is needed. Stay till the end, because this final reflection completes the journey. The story you have just experienced was never truly about betrayal or loss. It was about resilience. It was about learning that your worth cannot be rewritten by another person's opinion, your future cannot be limited by yesterday's misunderstandings, and your peace becomes strongest when it grows from within instead of depending on circumstances around you. Now the horizon looks different. New opportunities appear where old disappointments once stood. New conversations replace old assumptions. New confidence quietly takes the place of old doubts. The road ahead is not asking you to carry the weight of what has already passed. It is inviting you to walk forward with open hands, a clear mind, and a hopeful heart. Something important has been waiting for you since the very first words of this story. It is the realization that every meaningful ending carries the seed of a meaningful beginning. The pages behind you have shaped your wisdom, but the pages ahead will reveal your growth. And as this journey gently comes to a close, one quiet promise remains: the best chapters are not always the loudest, they are often the ones that begin with peace, unfold with purpose, and leave you stronger, kinder, and more hopeful than when the story first began.